If you ever wondered, why are we here? What binds the human soul to the earth? In today's video, we will uncover a groundbreaking secret about the origin of the world, a truth that has been suppressed by the church for centuries. This is not merely a story about God, but about control and unseen conspiracies that restrain our souls. Subscribe to the channel to uncover shocking mysteries and esoteric knowledge you need to awaken. From the moment the soul enters this world, it loses awareness of its true self and origins, as if silently stolen away. This is not merely a philosophical phenomenon, but a profound reality that shapes how humans perceive themselves and their purpose of existence. According to the ancient text on the origin of the world, this obscurity is not accidental, but the result of a calculated design by Demiurge, a flawed and ambitious deity believed to have created the material world. As the architect of the finite realm, Demiurge crafted a world akin to a trap, where souls are imprisoned in ignorance and submission, distanced from true knowledge. Far from the image of a benevolent creator, Demiurge resembles an anonymous warden perpetually concealing the truth of the soul's origin, making the journey to liberation from this imprisonment an arduous challenge. Demiurge, the cosmic thief, not only created the material world to entrap souls, but also erased their sacred memories and robbed them of their divine self-awareness, replacing it with fear and endless desires fixated on the tangible world. According to Gnostics, upon entering this world, the soul loses Gnosis, the profound knowledge of the divine realm to which it once belonged. I want to draw your attention to the term Gnosis or Gnosis, a Greek word meaning knowledge or understanding. However, in the context of Gnostic thought, Gnosis is not merely ordinary knowledge, but a direct, profound understanding of the divine, universal truths or the sacred essence of reality. This type of knowledge transcends ordinary reasoning or logic, being experiential in nature, often attained through enlightenment, inner exploration, or spiritual connection to the soul's divine origin. In Gnosticism, Gnosis is considered the key to liberating the soul from the material world, which is seen as detached from its divine essence. Without Gnosis, humans become lost souls, endlessly seeking to fill an invisible void they cannot comprehend. Everything we tirelessly pursue, from success to fame, is but an illusion, keeping the soul trapped in an endless cycle, seeking meaning in things that never truly satisfy. Gnostics pose the question, why is satisfaction always fleeting, and why even after achieving goals do humans still feel a vague emptiness within? This arises from the nature of the soul, which yearns for a higher knowledge that has long been obscured. Even more fearsome, Demiurge granted us physical bodies, a cunning yet intricate design, like an anchor tethering the soul to endless sensations and needs, hunger, thirst, pain, and desire. These invisible chains constantly pull us back to the body instead of enlightenment, distracting us from our divine origins. In reality, how much of our lives is truly devoted to spiritual growth when most of it is dominated by bodily needs? Gnostics believe that the body is no accident, but a tool designed to keep us disconnected from our origins. Yet, despite its seemingly bleak tone, the Gnostic perspective is not entirely devoid of hope. They believe there is an escape, Gnosis, inner knowledge. This is not knowledge from books or a mystical teacher, nor is it an ancient, hidden manuscript. Gnosis is the direct awakening to the hidden divine truth, a recollection, a profound self-awareness that transcends all illusions and escapes the manipulation of Demiurge. In Gnostic thought, Gnosis is the path to liberation, and it has been suppressed for centuries. Gnostic texts like On the Origin of the World were deemed heretical and excluded from mainstream doctrine, because they portray this world as a material prison, where the soul is trapped and the body as its chains. This knowledge threatens the power of forces that profit from keeping humanity in ignorance and darkness. Gnostic texts unveil a fresh perspective on God, humanity, and the soul's purpose, potentially transforming how we perceive the world. If these views were accepted, they would undermine the power of religious institutions that sustain human dependence on dogma and rituals. Rather than being the creation of a perfect divine being, the material world is believed to be the work of Demiurge, designed to separate the soul from truth. If this knowledge were revealed, the entire salvation system of the churches could collapse. According to Gnostic texts, every individual has the ability to connect directly with the divine realm through inner knowledge, or Gnosis. This poses a significant threat to religious organizations that rely on convincing people that salvation must be achieved through obedience and intermediaries. To maintain power, the churches not only ignored but actively hunted down and destroyed these texts, branding their followers as heretics. This was a deliberate strategy. By monopolizing what was deemed sacred, the church constructed a singular narrative in which an almighty God reigns supreme, and humanity must submit. Any worldview suggesting divine independence or the ability for human awakening outside the religious system was eradicated. The suppression of Gnostic texts and communities was no coincidence, but a strategy to monopolize control over spiritual truth. If people believe that salvation can only be attained through an external power, they will live in fear and absolute loyalty, making them easily controlled. This is not merely a story about ancient texts and theology, it is fundamentally about power. These forbidden ideas were not suppressed because they were wrong, but because they were dangerous, encouraging self-empowerment and affirming that divinity is an inherent right of all, not a privilege reserved for religious leaders. We will delve into the concept of the divine trap, a challenging perspective on this world. According to Gnostic texts, the material world is not a paradise but a prison, designed by Demiurge to trap souls in an endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, preventing them from escaping and realizing their divine nature. The pursuits we obsess over, wealth, relationships, meaning, are essentially distractions designed to bind and make the soul forget its ensnarement. This is not an iron cage, but an ongoing struggle between the body and its needs, such as hunger, pain, and pleasure, tethering us to the material world. In this endless cycle, we are programmed to seek fulfillment in a world that can never fully satisfy. According to Gnostics, this is a sophisticated deception, leaving the soul lost and unable to connect with its inner divine spark. Every element, from bodily needs to societal structures, contributes to this system, reinforcing the belief that satisfaction is always out of reach. Only by realizing our true nature can we escape this trap. In Gnostic thought, Demiurge is not seen as a benevolent deity, but as a flawed entity driven by ego, thirst for power, and control. Rather than an omniscient creator, Demiurge is a deceptive force demanding worship to bind souls to the material world, obstructing enlightenment and true freedom. Gnostics suggest that Demiurge is powerful enough to create the material universe, but lacks the compassion and wisdom to guide it positively. This makes it arrogant, blind, and utterly convinced it is the sole creator. Demiurge does not operate alone. It is aided by the archons, cosmic rulers who maintain this system, enforcing material order without aiming to enlighten humanity. These archons thrive on chaos, fear, and confusion, ensuring that souls remain unaware of their divine nature, perpetuating a state of spiritual enslavement within the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Demiurge rules through limitations in perception, creating the illusion that the material world is the only reality. By combining religious doctrines, societal conditions, and daily distractions, it ensures that humans rarely question the nature of reality. From birth, we are led to believe that material success and survival are the ultimate goals, gradually building a mental prison that keeps us in a confined world where the soul never has the chance to realize its divinity and freedom beyond material conditions. In Gnostic thought, Demiurge is not the true creator, but an imposter crafting a limited reality and maintaining control through blind submission. This is considered the ultimate betrayal, as humanity is deceived into worshipping the very being that constructed its spiritual prison. This realization fosters awakening, enabling us to understand that freedom comes from breaking the limits imposed by Demiurge. Gnostics believe the material world was created to prevent humanity from accessing deeper truths. Everyday experiences, from desires and ambitions to joys and pains, serve as veils, keeping us trapped in cycles of superficial pursuits. Awakening is only achieved when we realize that the visible world is merely the surface and that truth belongs to a higher reality, unbound by fleeting illusions. In Gnostic texts, the illusion created by Demiurge and the Archons is a sophisticated veil, trapping us in a spiritual prison-like reality. From bodily sensations to desires and fears, we are locked into material experiences, hindering our ability to question our divine origins. Tied to names, status, family, and culture from birth, we develop an ego based on external factors, easily swept into the pursuit of fame, wealth, and social recognition. This attachment prevents us from seeing our true essence, which resides deep within. This is a trap set by Demiurge. As we seek happiness and worth in the external world, each achievement leads to new desires, driving us further away from our true self. According to Gnostics, suffering is not a spiritual test, but a tool to keep us mired in the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, unable to reach the divine light within. Each step forward only deepens our dependence on the transient, while truth lies in the free and eternal core of each individual. Suffering is embedded in the material illusion, keeping us preoccupied with external issues and disconnected from higher truths. In this trap, rather than viewing suffering as a sign for awakening, we become caught in a negative cycle, identifying ourselves through suffering and forgetting our divine essence. According to Gnostics, this is Demiurge's cunning strategy. Suffering is not an absolute reality, but a tool to bind the soul in the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Suffering is not merely a personal experience, it is part of a control system employed by Demiurge and the Archons to manipulate the mind. Negative emotions like fear and ambition are implanted to create chaos and distance us from our true potential. Only by recognizing suffering as a product of this illusory reality can we move toward inner awakening, rather than seeking liberation through temporary means. When dominated by anxiety and material desires, we become trapped in temporary needs, hindering spiritual awakening. Gnostics believe that to escape the illusion of Demiurge and the Archons, we must practice self-reflection and seek Gnosis, self-knowledge through intuition and personal experience, to reconnect with the divine spark within. The Archons, in Gnostic belief, are not physical beings but invisible forces that control the mind and emotions, perpetuating Demiurge's illusion. They manipulate us through fear, ambition, and insecurity, distracting humanity with the material world and attachment to social, familial, and cultural identities. As the enforcers, the Archons keep us under control, preventing the recognition of our true essence. To break free from this bondage, we must awaken from illusion, transcend temporary definitions, and rediscover the divinity hidden within. The Archons not only maintain material order but also manipulate human psychology and emotions through social norms and deep-seated psychological factors. By inciting feelings of conflict, insatiable desire, and fear, they ensure that we constantly seek external fulfillment rather than inner awakening. In this system, the Archons operate at every level, continuously influencing human behavior and thought, keeping us trapped in the cycle of birth and rebirth, and preventing awareness of our divine nature. The negative emotions they create and sustain allow the Archons to absorb energy and increase their power. They use media and social conflicts to fuel tension and suffering, keeping us in a socially divisive environment. The more we suffer, the more we rely on possessions, status, and social approval, believing these can bring peace. However, Gnostics encourage us to transform this negative energy. Through awareness and awakening, we can break free from the cycle, expand our consciousness, and overcome the control of the Archons to find deeper unity. The Archons extract energy from our negative emotions, turning personal reactions into fuel to sustain cycles of suffering and distraction. Their system infiltrates areas such as society, culture, and politics, as well as institutions of power like governments and religions, where rewards and punishments maintain obedience and control. These structures, from a Gnostic perspective, are not designed to foster unity, but rather to keep humanity in fear and disconnected from its inner freedom. Though this description may seem as bleak as a fictional dystopia, It reflects the reality of a society absorbed in consumption, entertainment, and competition. The influence of the Archons is no longer a far-fetched conspiracy, but a visible presence within systems of power. Their sophistication lies not in imposing, but in programming us to pursue superficial goals and values, making self-questioning seem distant. This system becomes so normalized and accepted that few realize all values and beliefs have been shaped to maintain dependency. The Archons are seen as invisible manipulators, creating a mental maze that keeps humans chasing illusions. According to Gnostic belief, breaking this cycle to recognize our divine nature is our highest goal. They believe that Gnosis, true knowledge, is the only way to weaken the power of the Archons. Gnosis is not merely theoretical knowledge, but a profound awareness that transcends linguistic boundaries, an inner awakening of consciousness. Gnosis is the ability to see through illusions, akin to waking from a dream where the material world and identity dissolve, giving way to a higher spiritual reality. Gnostics call this moment remembrance, when the soul recognizes the divine spark obscured by the world's noise. While there is no fixed path to attain Gnosis, some experience it through contemplation, others through profound transformative events. Because Gnosis is independent of any organization or intermediary, it poses a threat to systems of control. It is liberating knowledge that frees humans from reliance on external factors. Gnostic texts encourage practices such as meditation, self-reflection, and questioning reality to achieve awakening, unraveling the layers of illusion imposed by society. Unlike traditional religions, Gnosticism focuses on breaking mental boundaries and liberating humans from the psychological prison created by the Archons. Challenging all traditional beliefs, including the concept of good and evil, is vital to them. One of the most important symbols is the divine spark within everyone, directly connecting to the divine source and indestructible. Though obscured by the illusion of the material world, this spark can only shine when we turn inward and recognize our divine nature. By attaining Gnosis, true self-knowledge, we free ourselves from the control of the Archons and Demiurge, embarking on a journey of discovery and liberation. Gnosis is not external knowledge but inner understanding, a personal journey requiring self-awareness. Gnostics argue that this awakening does not demand abandoning the material world, but seeing through its transient nature. They envision a world where everyone recognizes the illusion created by Demiurge and understands their divine nature. This collective awakening would shatter the power of the Archons and create a new reality based on truth rather than deception. The journey to seek Gnosis is a spiritual revolution, resisting the systems that divide and limit awareness. It allows us to seek answers from within, realize freedom, and connect more deeply with the universe, recognizing that the answers are not distant, but already within us, waiting to be illuminated. With these reflections, we have completed the journey of exploring Gnosticism and the transformative power of Gnosis. Thank you for joining me in exploring this profound and challenging worldview, daring to confront the questions we have always been taught to ignore. Always remember, knowledge, especially self-knowledge, is the key to unlocking true freedom. So never stop questioning, never stop seeking, and who knows, you might begin to see the world in an entirely new way. Thank you once again for sharing this journey with me. I look forward to seeing you again in future explorations, where we will continue to illuminate secrets yet to be revealed.